Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Worcester City win that game and they will be in Division 1 Midlands next season.
Chance in Paul Job's got chance in the penalty, gets shot in and goes to the back of the net, and Cheyenne Jarvis gets the second goal for Leaford Athletic this afternoon, found space in the 6-yard box.
Back to the edge of the penalty area with the pass, crossing towards the back post, headed goalwards and in!
That's a great shot from De Castro! Oh, what a save for Gray! And the Red Kid 2-0!
Stourbridge have won the Division 1 Midlands title.
The Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio.
Good evening and welcome along to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every week bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League, and it's been a bit of a quiet week really. The two league games, obviously there was the majority of the second round of the Women's FA Cup, so not a huge amount to go through from the past 7 days, and because of various reasons, be it the FA Cup or international call-ups, we haven't got a full programme to look forward to this weekend either. So it's been a little bit of a slow one this week, so a much shorter episode than usual. We will be hearing, though, from the chair of Sporting Khalsa. John Foster spoke to her right after the third round draw for the Women's FA Cup, and Khalsa got a fabulous tie there. So we'll hear from her a little bit later on. But we will start with the results from the FAWNL. Just one in South East. AFC Sudbury 4, Dulwich Hamlet 1. Amy Lee Abrahart, Jessica Allen, Faith Harrison and Cherise Slater for AFC Sudbury. Dulwich Hamlet, Esme Johnson with their only goal. What that has meant for the league table is that AFC Sudbury have pulled themselves into 10th. They are out of the relegation zone on goal difference, and they've got a game in hand over Milton Keynes Dons. They are 5 points behind Dulwich Hamlet still, so they can't, with that game in hand, pull themselves even further up the table. But they are now out of the relegation zone. It's still looking like, at the moment, that it's going to be two of those bottom three sides that are going to end up getting relegated, but we'll see what happens between now and the end of the season, only because of course it's already 6 points to Luton Town, 5 points to Dulwich Hamlet, and you're already looking at kind of 9 points to those teams 5th, 6th and 7th. So looking maybe unlikely, because we're nearly at the halfway point of the season now, that will get turned around. Division 1 South West, Maidenhead United 2, Marine Academy Plymouth 2, 4 goals and a sending off in the first half. Isabella Stockton, 2 minutes in, put Maidenhead United in front before Ellie Bishop and Kaylee Turner turns that game around before the half-hour mark to put Marine Academy of Plymouth 2-1 in front. They, though, then went down to 10, Eva Flitney getting a straight red card and Katie Ackerman making the most of the resulting set piece a minute later. But all the scoring done in the first half, 2-2 between those two sides. What that means for the Division 1 Southwest table, Maidenhead United are up into the top half of the table. The point enough to lift them above Bournemouth Sports when they've played 9 games each. Marine Academy Plymouth just move a further place away from the relegation zone. Crucial for them now because they are 2 games clear of the relegation zone. The goal difference kind of meant there were 2 games anyway, but now it's been determined with points that they are 2 games clear of the relegation zone. And that's it for Division 1. That's it for the FAWNL as a whole over the course of the past 7 days. Let's then go and have a look at the Women's FA Cup. Now, there should have been 28 games. 3 were postponed, so there was only 25. One of the shocks, I counted 6 in the end. Royston Town of Tier 5 beating Bridgewater United 4-2 on penalties. AFC Portchester and Worthing postponed. Lewis beat Cheltenham Town by 4 goals to 0. Leyton Orient, they lost 7-1 to AFC Bournemouth. That was an interesting game where, because of the players that Leyton Orient have got and the coaching staff that Leyton Orient have got, a lot of players from #United last year. They are taking their 7th tier league by storm. But they've come up against a strong AFC Bournemouth side, and even though they've got a very high calibre of players and should be further up the pyramid than they are, and I think they will rocket up that pyramid, they still got beat very heavily by an AFC Bournemouth side who are doing very well in Tier 3. London Bees 5, Portishead Town 0. 2 for Millie Isherwood, 1 for Samantha Gabion, 1 for Aria Heel, and 1 for Betty Larkin. All Tier 5 ties, Sutton United beat Bowers and Pitsea by 3 goals to 2. And another shock, Dartford beating Keynsham Town by 2 goals to 1. Megan Bible in the 89th minute, the only goal for Keynsham Town. Exeter City, they are out. They lost 4-3 on penalties to Chatham Town. 2 for Ellie Jeffkins for Chatham. Exeter City, Phoebe Baker and Georgia Vaccaro. But Chatham getting through. Another Tier 4 beating Tier 3. Not so the case for Oxford United, who got past Luton Town by 3 goals to 1. Holly Manders with 2 inside the first 15 minutes. Naomi Bedeau with 1 as well. Leah Maddox with the goal for Luton Town. Bristol Rovers, they are out. They lost to Fulham by 3 goals to 1. Megan Jarvis with the only goal for Bristol Rovers, but Fulham, 7th minute Kaylee Stead, 32nd minute Ellie Olds and 45th minute Jade Bradley for Fulham. Oxford City could not pull off an upset against Swindon Town. Swindon winning by 3 goals to 1, a hat-trick to Annabelle Colston in that game. Watford against Saltdean United postponed, so that, like the AFC Portchester Worthing game, will be played this weekend instead. FA Cup takes the highest priority. And of course, we're only a couple of weeks away from the 3rd round with the championship sides coming in. We'll go through the draw very, very shortly. Plymouth Argyle 2, Gwalior United 0. Both sides finished with 10 in this one, but Phoebe Poole, who scored 2 and then got herself sent off, was enough to get Plymouth past Gwalior United. Burnley 4, Norwich City 0. Burnley's goals in this one: Charlie Chadwick in the 9th minute, Alifa Paul in the 15th, Emma Siddle in the 37th, and Amy Kelly in the 76th. Middlesbrough beat Northampton Town by 3 goals to 0. 2 for Abby Holmes and 1 for Lauren Robson. Liverpool Feds, they were 5-0 victors over Boldmere St Michael's. They'd scored 2 inside the first 5 minutes, Liverpool Feds, to really put their stamp on the game. Faye Coulthard in the 4th, Chloe Fisher in the 5th. And then in the second half, Chantel Thompson 46, Mia Parry 59, Emma Johnson 71. Derby County, they got past Stockport County by 4 goals to 1. Despite going behind through Abigail Podmore in the 24th minute, they were able to equalise before half-time. Emily Joyce in the 40th. Then Rebecca May, Georgia Stevens and Minnie Wilson all scoring in the second half to put Derby County through into the 3rd round. York City, they beat Wroxham by 3 goals to 1. Ruby Watt and 2 for Rosie Bell. West Bromwich Albion 2-0 winners over Cambridge United with through Ellie May and Amya Hammond McLean. Sporting Khalsa, they got past Hednesford Town by 2 goals to 0. Anya Denham in the 83rd, Sky Owen in the 90th plus 10. So left it late did Sporting Khalsa, but got themselves through. Durham Sestra, though, they are out. They lost to Mancunian Unity by 2 goals to 1. Faye Dale with the only goal for Durham Sestra. Then another tie between two sides below the FAWNL. Pontyland United 0, Altrincham 1. Altrincham in Tier 6 are now the lowest ranked side left in the competition. But they win by a goal to 0. Peterborough against Wallsend is postponed, so again that'll be played this Sunday. AFC Fylde 4, Kidderminster Harriers 0, so Tier 5 beating Tier 4. Leafield Athletic against Worcester City. Leafield Athletic coming from behind in this one. Maya Clark had put Worcester in front in the 8th minute before Leafield in the 63rd minute through Chloe Shirley equalised in this game, and then they go on to win on penalties. Hull City convincing winners away at Stourbridge by 7 goals to 1. 4 goals to Hope Knight in this one, as well as Maya Acro, Izzy Grigg and Jessica Tugby Andrew. Leeds United against Huddersfield Town. These two sides seem to have met so often already in this season. They met in the Cup group stage. They've played in the league already, and now they've played in the FA Cup as well. Rebecca Beresford, the only goal for Huddersfield Town in the 84th minute, but Jan Gribble-Keating, Drew Green and Izzy Elliott with goals for Leeds United put them into the third round. And finally, the Friday night game, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Stoke City. Beth Merrick and Rachel Quigley, 74th and 89th minutes, so leaving it somewhat late, but Wolves through to the third round. Let's then have a gander at the third round draw. So it's still been split into two halves. This is the last round where it is split. When the Super League sides come in Tier 4, it goes national. So northern half, Middlesbrough against AFC Fylde, so Tier 3 against Tier 5. Wolves against Forest. Boring. It's the one tie. I was speaking to Nick of the Wolves Women podcast before the draw. I said this is the one tie we don't want. The two title rivals from last year have played each other so often, seem to always draw each other in the League Cup or the FA Cup as well. And they've done it again. Wolves against Forest. Durham against Sheffield United, all championship tie. One of only two all-championship ties. Burnley against Peterborough United or Wolves NBC. Newcastle United against Liverpool Feds. Leeds United against West Bromwich Albion. Birmingham City against Sporting Khalsa. That's a great tie for Sporting Khalsa. Mancunian Unity hosting Hull City. Derby County against Sunderland. And Altrincham of Tier 6 against York City of Tier 4. That's the northern half of the draw. The southern half, Sutton United against Chatham Town. Tier 5 against Tier 4. Southampton against Royston Town. That's great for Royston of Tier 5 going away to second tier Southampton. Dartford against London Bees. Bristol City take on Portsmouth. That's the other all-championship tie. AFC Bournemouth take on Fulham. AFC Portchester or Worthing against Ipswich Town. Oxford United against Plymouth Argyle. Charlton Athletic against Watford or Saltdean United. Leaford Athletic, who are in the southern half of the draw for this round, against Swindon Town. And Lewis against Crystal Palace. So there are some really nice ties in there, particularly for the sides still below the FAWNL. There are no guaranteed Tier 5 or below sides going through into the fourth round to take on a Super League side. It might be that it's all Tier 4 and below, or they're looking at it and trying to do a very, very quick scan. Don't believe there are any guaranteed fourth tier sides going through. Oh, Leafield Athletic against Swindon is the only guaranteed fourth tier side to go through into round 4. So it could be very much kind of the top teams taking part in the next round. Of course, as always on the Women's Football Chat, as we've done every single year, we will cover the FA Cup until there are no longer any teams from tiers 3 or below in it. It's normally around round 5. We're guaranteed, of course, 10 sides to go through we're guaranteed 10 sides, to go through at least tier 3 or below, because there's 2 all championship ties. So we've got that, and then obviously when the Super League comes in, it's generally, and I am speaking generally, you get, if someone goes through to round 5, it's generally because they have drawn an all FAWNL tie. There is the occasional, maybe they'll beat a championship side, but most of the time it's because they've drawn another FAWNL side. Right, off the back of that draw, literally right off the back of the draw on Monday evening, John Foster for Switch Radio spoke to the chair of Sporting Khalsa, Kelly Williams, and of course, that draw against Birmingham City was high up on the list of things to talk about.
Nice easy one for us, but exciting, but probably one of the teams that you wouldn't want to pick.
Absolutely, a massive draw, isn't it? And the positive will be it will create a lot of interest, of course, not just within the area but within the footballing community. You obviously know Wan. How do you think he'll set up? Will he take the game to Birmingham, or will he be quite cautious and protect that clean sheet?
I think Wan is obviously, South American, very attacking minded, but I think we're all going to have to be a little bit cautious there. Make sure we're set up, because obviously if we open up too early, we'll concede quite quickly if we're not careful with the talent that they've got on their books, type of thing. So yeah, we'll work hard. We'll look at the games, trying to assess how to approach the game. But I'm sure that we'll that we may have moments and we can try and take advantage of those. But obviously it'd be a really, really difficult game, and we don't want to open up too soon.
FA Cup win versus Hensford Town. Did that game go the way you thought it would do?
Obviously, from our perspective, we were a little bit frustrated. I think we were all frustrated with kind of the way it went. It's never going to be an easy game. Hensford are a good side. Anybody at this stage of the competition, they've all got there and they've all played well to get there. So we didn't want to. We haven't underestimated them. We didn't want to underestimate them. But I think we're just a little bit frustrated, really, with our lack of clinicalness in front of goal, because we created quite a lot of chances. I think we created about 22 chances and we scored 2, one from a penalty and one from open play, but they were really late in the game. So I think the girls were frustrated, the staff were frustrated, and we know we can do a little bit better, and we would ideally want to kind of break the deadlock a bit quicker than that. But it fell the way it did, and we've got through. So yeah.
And you Denham and Sky Owen with the 2 goals, 2 of your leading goal scorers this season so far. Apart from goals, what do those 2 players bring to the club?
I think they're obviously talented players, technically gifted players. They're both obviously, on loan from Wolves and obviously want to push to play in that squad in the future. So they're young players. They're very good around the dressing room. Like I said, they can, on their day, they can actually change a game. They've got that kind of ability. So yeah, they're great members of the squad. We've had them on loan before, so they know what to expect and we know what to expect. And we work well together, so they're really good to have around the group.
And just a word on Hensford Town. They've had a fantastic 2 years. Did they look like a Tier 5 team yesterday?
No, I mean, a couple of the girls have played at Khalsa before and other places. Obviously, Rear Ellesmore's play for Wolves. There's numerous players there. So they have got a talented squad. They've got some really good young players, and they've got players that have got a bit more experience. So they've got a really good blend. So yeah, they played really well yesterday. They've got a great setup. The staff are really good, really nice people as well. And the players did themselves proud yesterday.
And that's for your season so far, 10th in the league. Are you happy with the way that the league campaign is going so far this season?
I think we'd always want more points on the board, but we're at the stage where I think before the new year we had 6 points last year as well. We've got 2 more games to go in the league, so we're hoping and we want to really push to try and get more points on the board to see in the new year. Overall, we're still in the FA Cup. Obviously, later on next year we'll start our County Cup kind of competition run, hopefully. It's a short run, but we will start that. So, like I say, we'd like more points on the board, but overall, it could be worse and it could be slightly better. So,
you mentioned the County Cup there, and I'll ask you about that shortly. But next up in the league, Hull City away on the 30th of November, followed by your last home game of the league this year against Stoke. How big are those games?
They're really big games. We, like I said, we really want to push on. We want to do better than last year. We want maximum points from those 2 games. It'll be difficult. They're tough games, but it's difficult for those sides as well, because anybody can beat anybody on their day. So they're really big for us. So we've got to really prepare and go into them really positively and give it a good go, so we can end up with more points on the board going into the new year.
And as for the County Cup, Switchboard actually covered that County Cup final last season. Obviously, you got that to look forward to soon. With Stoke City's dip in form this season, are you aiming to get even one step further this season?
I don't know whether I'd say it's a dip in form. I think there's been a lot of changes there. Obviously, new manager, a few players going out, a few players coming in, pretty much like everybody else, really. But, they're a very strong side. We've played them already this season. We're playing them in a couple of weeks, we're playing them before Christmas again. But obviously, we're getting at the semi-final stage, so we'll have to play somebody else before we get to that final. It's really tough at that stage anyway, so we can't take that for granted that, that we're going to get there. But obviously, we pride ourselves on getting to the County Cup final, so it's a big aim for us to get there. But no, we expect a tough game. Like I said, they've got talented players, but I still believe that we've got a good squad as well, and we can give everybody a game on the night. So we're still expecting a really tough game if we get there, and I'm sure we will. We aim to get there, but we've got to have belief, and we've got to see where we are at that stage. But I think it'll be a really good game, like it is every single year, and it'll be the best team on the night really that progresses and wins that cup.
And finally, Kelly, you mentioned your squad there. There's a lot still to play for this season. Do you intend to see any changes going into the Christmas period into 2026 with your squad?
I mean, we have got a good squad, but it's quite a small squad. We've had a little bit of, obviously, a few players that have been injured. It's been a bit frustrating for them. So they are set to come back. So we've got a few more coming in. We've got the under-18s who've been brilliant as well, that have come in and supported the squad and had game time and really bolstered the squad. But obviously, we'll always look to improve the squad, because it's so tight in there as it stands. There's nothing that we can see coming at the moment, but obviously, if we do get the right opportunity to bring a couple of players in the right areas to strengthen us, we will do.
Yes, a big thank you to Kelly for taking the time out to speak to us on Switch Radio this week. It's fascinating, and it's the magic of the cup, isn't it? Khalsa getting that draw away at Birmingham City. So that's coming up in a few weeks' time. Of course, we have 3 FA Cup games this weekend, those postponed games that we've spoken about. Let's then go and have a look at what else is happening over the next 7 days. Northern Premier Division, then a full programme. Derby County against Wolverhampton Wanderers, 9th against 2nd. Hull City against Sporting Khalsa, 6th against 10th. Liverpool Feds take on Stoke City, 7th against 8th. Loughborough Lightning in 11th take on Middlesbrough, who are 5th. Rugby Borough 3rd against Burnley, 1st. And West Bromwich Albion, who are 4th against Halifax, who are 12th. So there are some interesting games. Primarily, they're the games at the top. Burnley against Rugby Borough, travelling to Rugby Borough. There's 3 points between the sides. Rugby have got a better goal difference. If they can get the win, that could be really significant in the course of the season. Wolves, you would expect to win away at Derby County, who are down in 9th. So if Burnley do slip up, Wolves can take full advantage of that, and they have still got that game in hand. So that could be massive for Wolves. Down towards the bottom, tough game for Halifax, tough game for Loughborough. They're both playing teams in the top half. Sporting Khalsa against Hull, also playing against a team in the top half, as are Derby. So Stoke and Liverpool Feds in 7th and 8th, the only 2 teams in that bottom half that aren't playing teams in the top half, and they're playing each other. So are we going to see a lot of movement from the Northern Premier Division over the course of the weekend? Maybe not, but who knows? But they are tough fixtures for the teams towards the bottom. Southern Premier Division, this is affected by not only the postponements in the FA Cup, but also call-ups internationally. So there's only 3 games. AFC Wimbledon against #United, 11th against 7th. Cheltenham Town against Billericay Town, 8th against 12th. And Lewis against Oxford United, 6th against 9th. So first, not in action. Second, not in action. Third, not in action. Fourth, not in action. 5th, not in action. Lewis then could climb 2 places with a win, but it would have to be a big win over Oxford United to get themselves above Real Bedford. The action is going to be down towards the bottom, with Gwalior United not playing. If AFC Wimbledon win at home to #United, they climb out of the bottom 2. #United themselves could go up a couple of places. Cheltenham Town could do the same. Again, it'd have to be a big win, but Cheltenham Town have the capabilities over Billericay Town for a big win. Cheltenham could go from 8th up to 4th if they really win big. So an opportunity to have really a big impact for them. But there are only, as I said, 3 games in the Southern Premier Division this weekend. Into Division 1 Midlands, Barnsley Women's against Northampton Town, 4th against 11th. Kidderminster Harriers in 9th against Sutton Coldfield Town, who are 8th. Sheffield, they're 5th against Notts County in 6th. Worcester City 7th against Lincoln United 12th. And Leafield Athletic against Boldmere St Michael's, 2nd against 3rd. That's the huge game. Peterborough United, of course, their FA Cup game was called off. So they're playing that again this weekend. But the big one of the day, 2nd against 3rd. Neither side can go top because Peterborough United are 4 points clear. But neither side will want to have played a game more than Peterborough United and not have gained ground on them. So it's a really big game towards the top. Obviously, whoever wins goes within 1 point of Peterborough and keeps the pressure on. If you've lost and you're 4 points back and you've played a game more, that could then be 7 points. 7 points is a lot to make up in the second half of the season. So yeah, big draws for both of these sides to go out and win. Barnsley Women's, of course, are in 4th. They're only a point behind. They'll be looking to capitalise on a mistake from either of those two sides. Sheffield are doing well in the mid-table, but they've got Notts County. That's going to be a tough one as well. It is very difficult, but of course, there's big games at the top and at the bottom. Is this weekend. Stourbridge, the only other side not playing. So if Northampton win, Stourbridge go into the bottom 2. Northampton away at Barnsley Women's, it's unlikely, but who knows? I think we're going to see quite a bit of movement in Division 1 Midlands this weekend. Division 1 North has a full programme. Nobody here affected. The bottom 2 go head-to-head. Blackburn Rovers against York City. Cheadle Town Stingers against Durham Cestro, 1st against 10th. Chester Street Town in 8th against Chorley in 5th. Doncaster Rovers Bells are 9th against Norton Stockton Ancient, 7th. Leeds United, they are 4th against Stockport County, 6th. And Wythenshawe 2nd against Huddersfield Town, 3rd. So you would expect probably Cheadle Town Stingers to beat Durham Cestra at home, given the league table positioning of the two sides. So Wythenshawe 2nd, Huddersfield 3rd. Big game for those two, chasing Cheadle Town Stingers down. Again, same at the bottom. Blackburn Rovers, York City. Blackburn yet to get a point this season. Both of those sides really need the 3 points. They really do. Doncaster Rovers against Norton Stockton Ancients. There's a chance for them to get points. Durham Cestra, it's going to be tough, but they could. Leeds Stockport is kind of a bit of a mid-table game, but Leeds with a game in hand, of course. If they were to win the game in hand, they'd be on 20, so they still need to pick up all the wins they can, as they are by far from out of this race. So it's going to be a fascinating weekend in Division 1 North. You'd expect 3 points for Cheadle. How is the Wythenshawe-Huddersfield game going to go? Leeds, are they going to falter or are they going to kick on because they've still got that game in hand? Towards the bottom, can Doncaster pull themselves away a little bit if they can get something at home to Norton and Stockton Ancients? The bottom 2, how's that going to go? There was lots of stories in Division 1 North this weekend. Division 1 South East, also a full programme. AFC Sudbury against Queen's Park Rangers. That is 10th against 4th. Cambridge United, Norwich City, 6th against 2nd. Dulwich Hamlet, Actonians, 9th, 7th. Fulham London Bees, 1st against 3rd. Milton Keynes Dons, Chesham United, the bottom 2. And Chatham Town, Luton Town, 5th against 8th. So again, Division 1 South East. First place 3rd, with Norwich City away at Cambridge United, lurking in case Fulham slip up. MK Dons against Chesham United. Two sides at the bottom, really fighting for their lives. And with AFC Sudbury, who are at home to Queen's Park Rangers, it's going to be a tough one for them. Somebody, Milton Keynes Dons, Chesham United, is going to get points. If Chesham win, the bottom 3 will all be on 4. Sudbury have got a tough one. Dulwich Hamlet against Actonians. Either side could take that because they are so close in the league table. Again, stories. Fulham London Bees, 1st versus 3rd. Norwich lurking. The bottom 2. How are Sudbury going to do? Is it going to be all change? There's going to be quite a few movements in Division 1 South East. Division 1 South West, there are just 5. Worthing, of course, had their FA Cup game postponed. Abingdon United, Portishead Town, 5th against 11th. Keynsham Town, Bristol Rovers is 10th against 3rd. Maidenhead United, Bournemouth Sport, 6th against 7th. Marine Academy, Plymouth in 9th. Ascot United in 8th. But the big one of the whole FAWNL this weekend, I would argue, as so far perfect, Swindon Town, who are 2nd, against Moneyfields, who are 1st. This feels really important for the whole title race, because if Swindon Town lose this game, they will be 4 points behind Moneyfield, yes, but they'll have a game in hand. Away from that, if Moneyfields lose, Swindon go above them by 2 points and they still have a game in hand. There's other ones towards the bottom, of course. Marine against Ascot, 8th against 9th. They both want to pull away. Keynsham Town, can they pull away this weekend? They've got to host Bristol Rovers. It'll be tough. Maidenhead United against Bournemouth Sport, 6th against 7th. So you've got 6th against 7th and you've got 8th against 9th, and then you've got the top 2 as well. So everyone's pretty much playing teams in and around them in Division 1 Southwest. It is just going to be that game at the top that provides the most significance. And I said it was going to be shorter. That's it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chats. There was not a huge amount to go through. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas, which means waterlogged pitches and frozen pitches are going to come into play as well between now and the Christmas break. Update for you on the addition of all of the pyramid to the new Football Manager game. We have now done 200 teams added to the database, and tier 5 and up is now live. If you have the game on Steam, you can download that and you can play as Wroxham, you can play as whoever you want and try and get them into the Super League. That is all sorted, that is all working, and that is, as I said, live now. You can download it off the Steam Workshop. Tier 6 has been completed. Big thank you to everyone who has helped out. So tier 6 is done. It just needs adding in and working. There's the few technical problems that need sorting out with it, and then we've just got tier 7 to go. So we're getting there. The depressing thing is that because it's so exponential in the pyramid, we're not actually halfway through adding teams, but we'll ignore that and just focus on the fact that 2 out of the 3 tiers are done. So if you do have any information on tier 7, there is the Google sheet on at WFootballChat on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. We're back on Switch Radio next week as well, with all of the very latest from the 3rd and 4th tiers of women's football here in England. Whoever you're going to go and watch this weekend, enjoy it. They will welcome your support. And I'll be back next week with all of the very latest from the 3rd and 4th tiers of women's football here in England. And goodbye.